In this module, we're going to be talking about actual sustainable strategies that we can use when we're looking at sites that we're choosing to build on and water conservation. Some of the main things we want to look at, especially when dealing with a site, is where is it located? That's going to influence a lot of different factors. We can look at how we're treating the land itself, and also what is it going to take to manage that land in the long run. When we're selecting a site, there's a few things that we definitely should keep in mind. Is the site that you're going to be creating a building on in a floodplain? Is it a place where there is endangered species, or prone to drought, or near prime farmland? Is it actually a good place for us to build a project? These are questions that we all have to ask when we start. Also, is it in an existing urban environment, or is it in an undeveloped area? Now, you may think, oh God, living in a big city, so much concrete, this can't be sustainable. Actually, that's far from the truth. Living in a dense environment can be more sustainable than building on pristine new green land for several reasons. Number one, there's already infrastructure built in. Roads, electricity, plumbing, a lot of times alternative transportation are readily available. When you build on a greenfield site, you have to bring all of that onto new pristine land, and the development itself can be hard on your site. So some things that we can do in our projects to help foster, even from a location perspective, we want to reduce the impact from cars and transportation. So one thing that a lot of designers do is they design in spaces for people to store their bicycles, places to actually take a shower if you want to ride your bicycle. And if you're on the urban planning side, even building in more bike lanes into streets to making it more friendly to get out there and use your body rather than drive a car. Other things is, are you locating your project close to a place that already has existing public transportation? Locating your place in a near walking distance to bus stations and to subways or trains definitely helps guarantee that we can reduce the impact of cars. And if you do have to use a car to get to your space, there are things that we can do to make that a little bit more friendly as well. Lots of projects have created preferred parking for carpooling, and preferred parking if you're using electric cars or green vehicles. These are all different solutions that we can use. Probably one of the easiest way is to also get rid of so much parking that we tend to design into our buildings in the first place. Definitely stacked parking lots are a lot more sustainable. They're going to take up a lot less land space than having a sprawling parking lot. What happens with that is that we get what's called the urban heat island effect. All that dark asphalt is just going to absorb a lot of sunlight and radiate a lot of heat. Plus, once it rains, all of that rain hits the pavement and takes all the different pollution, sweeps it off the concrete and into our waterways. So the more we can reduce parking in the first place, the better it is. When we're looking at, there's also land management strategies. Like, what is the best way to design land in a way that we don't have to water it as much or mow it as much or really do all that much to it? You have a choice. You could either build on greenfield, pristine land, but that means we as humankind, will be encroaching on a natural environment. You can rehabilitate previously developed sites. So this has already been built, and then you can build a new. or we can actually choose to rehabilitate brownfield sites. Now again, that may seem a little counterintuitive, like, oh God, a brownfield site, that's filled with toxins. I don't want to build my project on a brownfield site. However, there are amazing remediation methods that we can use. And if you are able to bring a site back up to habitable standards, it's actually better for the community. And you're able to then bring new life to a site that has been previously dead. So again, being able to rehabilitate damaged or contaminated sites is a definite plus. The other thing we have to keep in mind is, how is that site either constructed or managed? A lot of times when we construct a site, bulldozers will come in, they'll unearth the land, and anytime it rains, you're going to get a ton of dirt flowing right down into the site and pulling all that dirt into our waterways, and we don't want that. So there are things we can do. Silt fencing, creating vegetative buffers. There's a lot of different ways to manage stormwater, and we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about water. Other things we can do is actually creating more open space. So if you're in a dense environment and you're lacking on habitable open space like parklands and things like that, we can also build habitable spaces on roofs, walkable green roofs, more terraces, more places for green space to exist within our urban fabric. The other thing to consider is when we are planting, plant for biodiversity. Using native and adaptive planting that often doesn't require a whole lot of pesticides, it doesn't require a lot of watering because it's already been natively adapted to survive in whatever region you've chosen to build your site. Also being able to plant so that we can encourage habitats like bees and birds, and giving them a place to live as well is definitely a great strategy.